All right. Well, welcome everybody to our meeting of tonight. We're going to skip roll call. All members are in attendance. The next two items on our agenda are invocation and our Pledge of Allegiance. The invocation is going to be delivered by Pastor David Toom from Bellevue Heights Church. Pastor, if you'll come forward. Gentlemen, if you're wearing a hat, if you'd please remove it if it's appropriate. If everyone would please stand for the invocation and please remain standing for our Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor, it's all yours.
Good evening, and would you bow your heads with me? Gracious and loving Father of love and light, thank you for living in the details of our lives. Thank you for allowing us the light of each passing day, for the next heartbeat, for the next breath of air, for the nourishment we take and for the pleasures we enjoy. Thank you for the challenges we face and the solutions you provide. Tonight, Father, we thank you for our mayor and city council and for this extraordinary city of Glendale they serve. This evening, as Mayor Wires and our city council seek excellence in all matters, please inspire answers to questions, resolutions to dilemmas, plans of action that bring life to opportunities. May consensus be achieved through healthy debate, rich with transparency, honesty, and goodwill. Father, we hasten to give thanks for our veterans that have served and protected Glendale, protected Arizona, and protected these United States. Keep them safe, keep them well, keep them close to you, and this we pray for our first responders as well. So, Father, we pray this council meeting will be informed by your high thoughts and high ways as every effort is made to serve well the people of Glendale. We ask this in the name of the one who gave his life as servant for all. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Everyone please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You can take your seats. Okay, next on the agenda is the consideration of the minutes from the October 26, 2021 voting meeting. Council members, do you have any corrections or additions to the minutes? Seeing none, can I get a motion to approve the October 26, 2021 voting meeting minutes?
Yes, Mayor. I move we approve the minutes of the October 26, 2021 voting meeting.
Second.
I have a motion from the Vice Mayor, second from Councilmember Clark to approve the minutes. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Appears the ayes have it, do have it. That motion does carry. Moving on to proclamations. Proclamation November 2021 as Employee Gratitude Month. I'm going to go down to the podium and we'll move on. We got some city employees that will come down to receive this. Bring your daughter with you. Don't leave her there. We're not going to have her come watch Mom get this. We're going to have her participate. Come right over here. Right there. There you go. Okay, come on in. Gather around. Okay, we got two sides here. You can. Okay. Just tell them, right? Just tell them. Okay, so this is a proclamation for the City of Glendale employees. Glendale City employees are public servants who work with professionalism, compassion, and dedication. Whereas the Glendale employees are responsible for providing necessary emergency services, access to community resources, and quality amenities, ensuring roads, buildings, and intersections are built, operated, and maintained to industry standards, and city finances are cured, utilized, tracked efficiently, and in accordance with industry standards, laws, and city policies. Promoting economic growth and healthy lifestyles for employees, residents, businesses, and visitors. The licensing of both professionals and businesses. The enforcement of laws, statutes, ordinance, and policies. Safeguarding the environment and preserving our historical and cultural resources. And whereas the Glendale employees support the well-being of their community through acts of volunteerism, charity, and compassion, and whereas residents are encouraged to share a story of their favorite Glendale employee by posting on social media and using the hashtag GlendaleGovLove. Now therefore, I, Jerry P. Wires, Mayor of the City of Glendale, Arizona, on behalf of our City Council, do hereby proclaim November as Glendale Employee Gratitude Month. And we encourage all employees to continue to improve the lives of the people we serve every day. I also ask that citizens express their gratitude to our employees for their dedication to public service by visiting www.glendaleaz.com and submitting comments, especially to this little girl's mom. That was signed by our chief clerk and myself, and I do want to thank all of you. Give them all a big hand if you would. Yeah. So let's step up front and get a picture. What do you say? We'll go over in that. Okay. There you go. You got a help hold there. There we go. Where we're looking? Yeah. Okay. Good? Good. Just like paparazzi. All right, before we get rolling here, today we're going to be changing the order of our agenda. Item number 21 is actually going to be taken up after item number 18. From there, we'll go back to the item number 19, and then the rest of the agenda will be in order. Moving on to consent agenda, our consent agenda items 3 through 12. Items on the consent agenda are of routine nature, or they've been previously studied by the City Council at a workshop session. They are intended to be acted upon in one motion by this council. Do we have any speaker cards for any of the consent agenda items?
No, sir.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve consent agenda items 3 through 12?
Yes, Mayor, I move we approve consent agenda items 3 through 12.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Tomachoff, second from Councilmember Aldama to approve consent items 3 through 12. Any discussion? Hearing none, we have no speaker cards. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Appears the ayes have it, do have it, that motion does carry. Moving on to consent resolutions. Ms. Bauer, would you read consent resolutions item 13 and 14 by number and title?
Item 13, resolution number R21-111, a resolution of the Council of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, authorizing the acceptance and expenditure of an award under the fiscal year 2021 Patrick Leahy Bulletproof Vest Partnership solicitation through the United States Department of Justice, Office of Justice Programs, Bureau of Justice Assistance, in the approximate amount of $4,130.39 on behalf of the Glendale Police Department. Item 14, resolution number R21-112, a resolution of the Council of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, authorizing and directing the entering into of an intergovernmental agreement with Maricopa County for annexation and de-annexation east by El Mirage Road, west by Perryville Road, south by Camelback Road, and north by Peoria Avenue. That concludes the consent resolutions.
All right, thank you. Do we have any speaker cards for consent resolutions 13 and 14?
No, sir.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve items 13 and 14?
Yes, Mayor, I move we approve consent resolutions 13 and 14.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Tomachoff, second from Councilmember Clark to approve items 13 and 14 on the consent resolutions agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Here's the ayes have it, do have it, that motion also carries. Moving on to bids and contracts, Ms. Bauer, can you introduce item 15 for us, please?
Authorization to enter into a linking agreement with TW Associates, Inc., doing business as Misco Water for water and water equipment maintenance and repair services. No, sir.
Okay. We have any questions from the council? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve item 15?
Mayor,
Go ahead.
I move we authorize the city manager to enter into the described linking agreement with TW Associates, Inc.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Turner, second from the Vice Mayor to approve the recommended action. Any discussion on this motion? Hearing none. No cards? We have a roll call vote. Councilmember Eldama, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Clark, how do you vote?
Mayor, I will explain my vote.
Go ahead.
This item, as well as the 3 subsequent, are all 5-year contracts. In fact, some of them are 6-year contracts. And it's my habit and practice, I do not support contracts of that length. Nay.
And with that, you're voting nay. Councilmember Melner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Tomachov, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Turner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice Mayor, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, that motion carries. Ms. Bauer, would you introduce items 16 for us, please?
Authorization to enter into a linking agreement with Phoenix Pumps, Inc. for water and wastewater equipment maintenance and repair services, and there are no speaker cards.
Thank you. Council members, do you have any questions? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve item 16?
Mayor,
Go ahead, sir.
I move that we approve item 16, authorization to enter in a linking agreement with Phoenix Pumps.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Melner, second Councilmember Tomachov to approve the recommended action. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Councilmember Eldama, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Clark, how do you vote?
Nay.
Councilmember Melner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Tomachov, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Turner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice Mayor, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, that motion does carry. Ms. Barr, would you introduce item 17 for us, please?
Authorization to enter into an agreement with Hatch Company for Hatch Reagents, Instruments, and Parts, Reagents, Instruments, and Parts, and there are no speaker cards.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from the council? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve item 17?
Mayor,
Go ahead, sir.
motion to approve item number 17, authorization to enter into an agreement with Hatch Company for Hatch Regions Instruments and Parts.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Eldama, second from the Vice Mayor to approve the recommended action. Do we have any discussion on this item? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Councilmember Eldama, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Clark, how do you vote?
Nay.
Councilmember Melner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Tomachov, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Turner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice Mayor, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, the motion does carry. Ms. Bauer, would you introduce item 18 for us, please?
Authorization to enter into a linking agreement with Play Power, Inc. for playground and water play equipment and related services and accessories for citywide parks, recreational facilities, aquatic centers, and splash pads, and there are no speaker cards.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve item 18?
Mayor,
Go ahead.
I move we authorize the city manager to enter into the described linking agreement with Play Power, Inc.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Turner, second from Councilmember Tomachov for the recommended action. We have any discussion on this motion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Councilmember Eldama, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Clark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Melner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Tomachov, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Turner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice Mayor, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. That motion carries unanimous. Moving on to land development actions. Ms. Bauer, will you introduce item 2.1? That's 2.1.
Resolution number R21-114, a resolution of the Council of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, authorizing and directing the entering into of a pre-annexation development agreement for property located at the southeast corner of 99th Avenue and Northern Avenue with TTRG Glendale 101 Northern AZ LLC, and directing that the agreement be recorded.
Mayor and Council, this evening before you is a pre-annexation development agreement that is preceding the other 2 land development items, which include the annexation of this property and then the PAD zoning of this property. So the next 3 items are dealing with the same parcel of property. It's generally known as the Thompson Thrift property, which is the southwest corner of Northern Avenue and the 101 freeway, so just south of the Park West development in Peoria. This is being brought to you this evening, recognizing that as this property is being annexed, there are some complex transportation issues that exist with regards to Northern Avenue and the 101. And recognizing the need for the property to move forward with development, but also the need to address both the needs for transportation and the obligations associated with that transportation improvement that needs to occur. We are presenting this agreement where resolving the issues of transportation will be generally done at the permitting stage. And what we'll be doing at that time, we'll be defining what is the reimbursable infrastructure, if any, depending on what the city is demanding. And then if it is reimbursable infrastructure, what will be that mechanism? Noting that the city manager will be working and be authorized to find out what those amounts are. Importantly, what is going to happen with this agreement is that the council will always maintain the authority for any appropriation that may occur. So in the event that there is infrastructure that's defined as reimbursable, we determine that reimbursable amount. That still is subject to the council actually budgeting and appropriating that amount to be reimbursed. So noting that, you have before you a PAD agreement, and I'm going to be offering you from the floor an amendment that is in accordance with how I've just described the agreement. Notably, that be the ability for both the developer and the city to sit down and look at what is going to be offered in terms of obligations that they need to meet for transportation and recognizing what their needs are for transportation. In working through that, depending on the outcome, if there is a reimbursable amount, we'll identify that, and then we'll also identify the mechanism. And again, noting, of course, that the city maintains that authority of identifying that, and that the council maintains the authority of appropriating that money. Noting that, I'd like to read into the record the most salient provision, and I apologize for reading to you. And I hate to do this, but it must be done. And it's with regards to paragraph 6, reimbursable infrastructure. And I want to make sure it's on the record. The developer agrees in connection with the development of the project and as determined by the parties during the planning and permitting phase of the project in connection with their joint efforts to refine the reimbursable estimate, developer shall provide the reimbursable infrastructure when and as determined by the parties in connection with the development of the project. This continues. The parties acknowledge that they have not established the final amount of the reimbursable costs for the reimbursable infrastructure, if any, but that the reimbursable estimate is merely a good faith estimate of such costs, and that the parties will work in good faith to establish the amount of costs for the reimbursable infrastructure to which a developer will be entitled to reimbursement, if any. In such discussions and in undertaking such determination, the city manager or his designee hereby is empowered to make such determinations and establish the amount of the costs of the reimbursable infrastructure to which the developer shall be entitled to reimbursement, if any. Further, upon and only upon the city acceptance of the reimbursable infrastructure shall the developer be entitled to reimbursement. Moreover, because the city has not yet determined the mechanism by which the city shall reimburse the developer for the actual costs incurred as set forth below, the city's city manager or his designee hereby is empowered to make such determination as he believes appropriate in his reasonable discretion and subject to city council appropriation. To select the mechanism by which the developer shall be reimbursed pursuant to this section. Accordingly, the city shall reimburse the developer as the city determines, and then it goes through the following provisions which have been already noticed in the agreement. With this, I would ask that the council move to approve the pre-annexation development agreement with the floor amendment, and I'm available for any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to first go to, is there any questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to start off with the Councilmember Clark first.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Bailey, can you give an example for the benefit of the audience that might be watching what reimbursable infrastructure consists of?
Mayor and council, when we speak to reimbursable infrastructure, let me give you a more broad concept because we really don't know what it would be, and that's one of the challenges, is that when we have development, there are times when the city is asking a developer to do more than what would be required of their development. And when they do more than what would be required of their development, we're asking them to go beyond that, to incur additional expense beyond what that expense would be. And because we are the ones that are asking for it, then we would generally reimburse them for doing that. Because there is, when dealing with streets, there is an economy of scale that when you're constructing on a street, there's no reason for the developer to come in and do, let's say, the curb gutter sidewalk in a lane, only to 6 months later have the city come in and do a second lane. So we would have them do all of it, get the economy of scale with regards to the cost savings, and then we would reimburse for that portion that would otherwise be required by the city.
Mayor, follow-up question?
Go ahead.
Okay, if the reimbursable infrastructure were a result and are only needed as a result of this new development, then is it technically reimbursable infrastructure? In other words, if the project had not been there, there might be no need for this new infrastructure, but the pressures of the project demand it. Then is it still technically reimbursable infrastructure?
Mayor and council member, based on my previous definition as well, no, it wouldn't be, because that is a need that's required specifically of this development. So from the city perspective, we would generally look at that as a non-reimbursable expense that would be obligated by the developer.
Okay.
It would be an obligation of the developer, excuse me.
You answered my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Bailey, I'm curious, the amendment speaks to the city reimbursing, but the agreement says for agreement administration, and ADOT is listed here, and so is Maricopa County. So I don't know whether there'd be any improvements that would be required by them. I'm just curious that there's these other entities on this agreement for agreement administration. So,
Mayor and council, the location of this property, and I think you may hear more about this in the annexation and in the zoning, the complexities associated, let's take Northern Parkway. We know that there are plans to do improvements to Northern Parkway, which would involve ADOT and McDOT. And so when we are trying to resolve the issues of transportation needs, the city doesn't want to operate in isolation with just the developer requiring transportation improvements that we know or we may know will not be in agreement with McDOT or ADOT. And so that's why we've included in here to recognize that there may be improvements that they want or that they will be requiring as a result of whatever may be from Northern Parkway and or the development. But recognizing, of course, that we will be making the distinction about what's required of the property and then elements of what the city actually may have as an obligation, and we are going to have them undertake for the sake of economies of scale.
Mayor, if I could ask a follow-up, thank you. Okay, so in that circumstance, let's say ADOT has some requirement on Northern Parkway, would that be reimbursable by ADOT, or would we be reimbursing for that?
The question you're asking is why we have language in here that says it still is subject to council appropriation, and that if there is any reimbursable infrastructure and or a reimbursable mechanism, because those still, there's a degree of this that still needs to be ironed out, and recognizing when the improvements are going to occur, if design change occurs, whatever it may be, we're trying to create flexibility in this regard.
Okay, Mayor, just one more question. So I just want to make sure I understand this. So in the instance where it's ADOT or McDOT, either one of them that has some sort of requirement, but the city would be the entity responsible for reimbursing the developer, because that's what the agreement. So we would have to work that out with. I'm just curious because that's what the amendment says.
As they relate to obligations associated with development, but part of that is that that's still what we need to iron out, is the specifics of that. So, Kevin wants to add some context, and I think that'd be helpful.
Okay.
What makes this particular situation unique is the city's already entered into a multi-jurisdictional agreement regarding Northern Parkway alignment and expansion. And so what this is going to allow us to do is, once we lock in that new design, if you recall, there was originally going to be a flyover design at that area. The city came back and said, that didn't make sense to do a flyover. We supported that, but we haven't got the final alignment done. So an example could be, we may ask the developer of this project there's an alignment issue. The road's going to be moved over. We may ask them to go ahead and put in infrastructure as part of that funded project. We have money set aside in our budget for the Northern Parkway expansion and completion. So that's why this language is in there.
Okay, one more question, Mayor. So in the event to make the alignment work, whatever that, and we need additional right-of-way that maybe we have to acquire from the developer, then we would be responsible for that, or would that be a regional?
I'm not that level detailed. Jack, are you?
Can you hear me with my mask on?
Can hear you great.
Okay. I think we're talking about two separate things. The pre-annexation agreement as an attachment is between the city and Thompson Thrift. And then attached, we have a joint project agreement, which is McDOT, ADOT, City of Peoria, Thompson Thrift and Glendale. And that has more to do with the 101 ramp that's going to end up becoming a frontage road and developing access to the south part of Thompson Thrift. That's separate, and that's something we'll come back to the council and ask for the city council to approve that agreement, allow city manager to execute that. On the pre-annexation agreement, it's really focused more on Northern Parkway because there's so many moving pieces to that, and the timing is a little bit different between when they want to develop and when Northern Parkway is going to move forward. We still have to make a decision as to what type of improvements we want them to make. We haven't done that yet. And therefore, it's possible that we'll take a look at the cross-section of Northern Parkway and perhaps ask them to build a large part of that in their frontage. And if they do that, it would be probably more than what we would ordinarily require for a development. And therefore, a little bit like our street improvement development agreements we've done on the west side, where they built a little bit more of a street than was required, and we gave them credit for diff fees. This could be possibly the same thing. We just haven't gotten to a point where we can make that decision. So we're asking that the council allow us that latitude to do that over the next few months.
And I want to clarify that this only gives us an opportunity to move forward, but nothing happens until this council approves whatever you guys finally come up with. So there is no money involved. You guys come back to us, tell us what the deal is. We say yes or no. Is that correct?
Mayor and Council, that's correct, because to Jack's point, we don't know specifically what they're going to be putting in. We have estimates, but until it's one of those we don't know until we know. And rather than contracting for specific improvements that we don't know are going to be the final improvements, this creates that flexibility.
But without this, then the developers have a hard time moving forward. The city has a hard time moving forward. Correct?
Correct, Mayor.
Okay.
One more question. Thank you, Mayor. So the reason I was confused because the pre-annexation development agreement also under 6 speaks to basically the city being responsible for reimbursement. So it's actually in the pre-annexation. It's not just in that other agreement. It's in the pre-annexation agreement.
If there is any reimbursement.
Right. My confusion is, yeah, I know we don't know that, but so that would be worked. I just don't want the city to be responsible for something that's a regional cost, that's all.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Paragraph 6, at the top of page 6, it says that on the second line, the reimbursable estimate is merely a good faith estimate of such costs. But I didn't find in here what that estimate is. Do we have?
Mayor and Council, that was attached to the changes that we're proposing on the floor, just to the development agreement and not to the amendments or the exhibits. The exhibits still remain posted and are provided.
I'll admit I don't understand what you just said. So let me,
When we originally posted this, we posted it with the development agreement and the exhibits. The floor amendment that I'm proposing now and that we're walking through is not at this time amending the exhibits. All we're doing is amending the substance of the development agreement, and we'll keep the same exhibits, noting that, again, it's a good faith estimate. So while there's been talk about that, I can tell you we've talked about what that really means and the changes incorporated in that. Again, and we don't know until we know what those would ultimately be, and then we need to sit down and talk with the developer about that.
so in good faith, we're accepting that there will be a good faith estimate of what the cost will be? Because I'm asking for a dollar amount. Is there a good faith estimate of the cost that we might incur? Do we have that at this point?
An estimate that has been provided with regards to improvements in the area, which we have not defined what those are yet, is approximately $1.9 million. But we don't know if those are reimbursable or not. Rather than commit to $1.9 million, all we're saying is that we need to sit down and work through that with them, and we'll come back and talk to you about what that is.
Okay.
Noting that we're trying to capture this the same evening as the annexation and the rezone.
So then some portion of $1.9 million, plus or minus.
That is my understanding, yes.
As a good faith estimate. Okay, thank you.
Mayor? Thank you. Yeah, under page 6, 6.3 under reimbursement, it says that if there is a reimbursement, it's determined by the city manager or his designee. And then it's subject to city council appropriation. That doesn't mean that the city manager has the sole discretion of where the monies come from, correct? We can still tell the city manager where those monies come from?
Mayor and council, that's 100% correct.
Okay, thank you. Good.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve as amended by our attorney?
Yes,
As stated, I guess, is the terminology I'm learning.
yes, Mayor, but I will need the ordinance or,
Well, if you say as stated by our city attorney, then we're good.
okay. I move we pass and adopt the ordinance as amended by our city attorney.
Okay. Point of order.
Yes.
The resolution.
It's resolution. Do we have a number?
R21-114.
Yeah, and not, just say as stated, the proper way of,
I will restate. I move we pass and adopt Resolution 21-114 as stated by our city attorney, with the amendment as stated by our city attorney.
perfect.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Clark, a second from Councilmember Tomachoff to approve the recommended action. Is there any other discussion on this motion? Hearing none, a roll call vote. Councilmember Aldama, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Clark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Melner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Tomachoff, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Turner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice Mayor, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries unanimous. Okay, now we're going to item 19, ordinance 021-75.
Ordinance number O21-75, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, extending and increasing the corporate limits of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, State of Arizona, pursuant to the provisions of Title IX, Chapter 4, Section 9-471, Arizona Revised Statutes, and its amendments by annexing certain territory located at the southeast corner of 99th Avenue and Northern Avenue in the City of Glendale, consisting of approximately 24.21 acres to be known as Annexation Area Number 225, amending the zoning map, providing for an effective date, and directing the city clerk to record a certified copy of the ordinance. Public hearing.
Mayor, members of the council, here to provide staff report this evening is Tabitha Perry, our interim planning manager.
Okay, Tabitha, before you start, I'm going to go ahead and open up a public hearing, and then you can do yours, and then we're moving right on. Okay, so public hearing is now open on item 19, ordinance 021-75. You're up.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. As stated with item number 18, that this is a companion application for the annexation adoption. With that being said, I need to give a point of correction. On your dais, you was given updated ordinances for item number 19 and 20. What happened was in your packet, the legal descriptions was swapped. So we needed to correct that so it can go on the record. So for the annexation itself, it is approximately 27 acres, where your staff reports indicate that it's approximately 24 acres. And once again, that's a reflection of the legal descriptions being swapped. So the adoption for the annexation is titled Thompson Thrift, and it is approximately 27 acres located at the southeast corner of 99th Avenue and Northern Avenue. Currently in the county, the zoning classification is C2, and upon the annexation, the most like zoning would be C2 as well. Next on the agenda, the applicant is proposing to a general plan amendment to change the land use designation, as well as a rezoning application to PAD to allow for a mixed-use development for commercial and multifamily developments. Here's an area map just to give context to the subject property that shows the approximately 27 acres that is before you right now. Here's the annexation map just to provide more context to the property. To the west of 99th Avenue, you see additional property that is within the city limits. And with that, Mayor and Council, I'll be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Any questions? Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Thank you. So I think I'm a little confused about the 24, 27 acres, because when I look at the ordinance states 24.21 acres. So it does have a legal description with it, but I guess maybe if you could just repeat that, I don't think I quite grasped it.
Okay, yes. Mayor, Councilmember Tomachoff. So for this particular case, it's approximately 27 acres in size. So the staff report indicates that it is 24 as well as your ordinance, but we needed to correct that, and that's what we placed on your dais to show the correction to be 27 acres, which includes the property to be developed as well as the right-of-way. And that is for the portion of the annexation proposal.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Bailey, does that meet the posting requirements?
Mayor and council, we believe that it does, yes.
Thank you.
Any questions? Okay, we have any speaker cards on this item?
No, sir.
Okay, is there anyone else needing to speak or would like to speak on this item? Okay, public hearing is now closed. Can I get a motion for ordinance number R21-75 or item number 19?
Yes, Mayor.
Go ahead.
I move we pass and adopt ordinance number 021-75.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Clark, second from the Vice Mayor to approve recommended action. Any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Councilmember Eldama, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Clark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Melner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Tomachoff, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Turner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice Mayor, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Ms. Bauer, would you introduce item 20, please?
Resolution number R21-113, a resolution of the Council of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, amending the general plan map of the City of Glendale, Arizona by approving General Plan Amendment GPA 21-06 for property located at the southeast corner of 99th Avenue and Northern Avenue. Ordinance number O21-76, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, rezoning property located at the southeast corner of 99th Avenue and Northern Avenue from C2 to PAD Planned Area Development, amending the zoning map, providing for an effective date, and directing the city clerk to record a certified copy of the ordinance. Public hearing.
Mayor, members of council, here to provide staff report on both the resolution and ordinance in front of you again is Tabitha Perry, interim planning manager.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips.
If we got to do a public hearing, let's go ahead and get it open. Public hearing is now open on item 20, resolution R21-113, and ordinance number 021-76. Your turn.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Here is the companion entitlements for the general plan amendment as well as the rezoning application. The current property land use designation within the city limits is business park, and the applicant is requesting to amend that to regional mixed use. The second request is for the rezoning to change the C2 zoning classification to PAD to allow for a mixed-use development consistent of commercial and multifamily development. The site itself is approximately 24 acres in size, and that 24 acres represents the developable land. Here's a general plan to give context to the current land use designation SPBP with the proposed amendment and how that fits in with other land use classifications in the surrounding area. The zoning map before you, once again, where the current zoning would be upon the annexation being in effect, would change from C2 to PAD, which once again would be consistent with the surrounding area in general. Here's an area map once again to give context to the surrounding area. Here's a conceptual site plan exhibit that the applicant has included in as part of their PAD proposal. Approximately 11 acres is proposed for commercial. That would consist of commercial uses like restaurants, convenient uses with gas stations. And then the 10 acres to the south is being proposed for the multifamily development, which will consist of 3 buildings at approximately 234 units. Based on what was discussed with item number 18, the several jurisdictions that have been looking at the proposed application as it's proposed for the right-of-way improvements include the city of Peoria, McDOT, ADOT, and the federal highways. They have all accepted the design for the roads and concept. It has not been finalized as of yet and is still being under review. The application is showing on the site plan that there's one main access off of Northern Avenue. They're proposing 5 access points off of 99th Avenue and 1 access point off the frontage road. The item was heard before a planning commission last Thursday, in which there was no one who spoke on the item. The applicant did complete the citizen participation process, which there was no one who spoke in opposition to the application. Staff's recommendation to planning commission was for approval of the GAP as written and a recommendation for approval of the rezoning application with the stipulations that's outlined in the staff report. Planning commission did provide a recommendation for approval on the general plan as written with a recommendation to City Council for approval on the rezoning with the stipulations as outlined within the staff report. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Can you state what the stipulations were?
Yes. Mayor, Council, stipulation number 1 was development shall be in substantial conformance with the applicant's project narrative dated October the 20th, 2021. Number 2, the required right-of-way on Northern Avenue will comply with the right-of-way defined in the Northern Avenue Parkway projects. Number 3, the developer will provide 55 feet of right-of-way, 65 feet of right-of-way within 250 feet of the intersection along 99th Avenue. If additional right-of-way is needed to accommodate sidewalks or other roadway features, the developer shall incorporate this to the final design of the off-site plans and the final plat for the project. Stipulation number 4, the developer will continue to work with staff at the Transportation Department to define the design requirements of the road that connects to the frontage road with 99th Avenue. The roadway shall be designed in such a way that it functions more like a street than a shopping center driveway aisle. Stipulation number 5, the developer shall provide a 5-foot ADA compliant sidewalk on the north side of the roadway that connects to the frontage road with 99th Avenue. The developer will add a 3rd northbound lane starting a minimum of 150 feet south of the development and terminating at the Northern Avenue section. And that shows you 6 stipulations instead of 8. Let me look back to this. 1 second, Mayor and Council. See if we can find the other stipulations on the ordinance.
If you have it, go ahead and bring it up.
The ones that I'm noticed, because there's some confusion on this, Mayor and Council, so I will acknowledge that while I'm standing before you. The difference that I see that has been indicated in the ordinance itself, it talks about all overhead utility lines, including communication lines and electric lines less than 69 kV on or adjacent to the site shall be undergrounded as part of the project. And then there's another one that speaks to on Peoria Avenue, the unused driveway shall be removed and replaced with a sidewalk. But at the same token, there's something in the stipulation that speaks to 51st Avenue.
51st Avenue?
Correct, so that's the
It's a
difference
long
between.
driveway.
Correct, so that's why I read it from the council communication versus what was in the ordinance, but those are the 2 additional ones that I can identify.
Okay. Yeah, okay, and I don't understand that last one, because that, I mean, you can't even say 91st Avenue. That doesn't make sense either.
Correct.
Okay. Anybody? I was just curious, it seemed like there's a little confusion on the 1. The developer, you guys are good with everything that was talked about with planning?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, well, I guess that's all we need to hear, right? Okay, so with that, are there any questions from this council?
Mayor?
Go ahead.
I do have a question on stipulation number 8, which was handed out to us. It does say, it speaks to the right-of-way along 51st Avenue.
Correct.
So do we need to make some sort of a change here? Because it can't be 51st Avenue, can it?
Mayor, Council,
see how.
the answer to that is no, it cannot be 51st. All the improvements are along 99th Avenue and Northern Avenue. In all fairness, Mayor and Council, this item is something that we've been working with the applicant back in 2020, where council gave the consensus to move forward with the annexation. The applicant has been working tremendously hard with the city and the other jurisdictions as noted. And due to some business reasons, we needed to try to get the applications before council so that they can close on the property. So with that, it does appear that there's some level of confusion between when staff presented this item before Planning Commission on this past Thursday in trying to get the application before you tonight.
Mayor, if I could continue. So do we not need to change this, amend this, or move it in the first place with the proper avenue? That's all I'm asking. Let's get the proper avenue.
And what, Member Tomachoff's got 5 or 6 things that are wrong
Yeah,
here.
Mayor, can I
Mayor,
state
may I?
them?
Okay.
Go ahead. Well, what I was going to suggest before you say that is whatever planning and zoning came up with is what we should be going by. I wonder if there was a development somewhere else at another time that had these addresses on it, if that's where the confusion is.
Mayor and council, that is correct. When speaking with the project manager, we did identify one error, and it was a matter of just taking it from one report to the next one. And unfortunately, we just did not catch this one. But the stipulations that are outlined in your city council report is what should reflect what City Planning Commission saw on this past Thursday.
Okay, and that's what I'm concerned with, is what planning and zoning agreed to.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, I'm looking at this that we were given here, and number 3 speaks to 51st Avenue. Number 4 speaks to 49th Avenue. Number 6 speaks to Peoria Avenue, north of 51st Avenue and north 49th Avenue. Number 7 speaks to Peoria Avenue. And number 8, as Councilmember Turner mentioned, speaks to 51st Avenue. There's more than one error here.
Right, and she just said that. There's another problem.
So yes, Mayor and
But this
council.
is an ordinance. How can it?
Well,
Mr. Bailey.
the proposed solution would be that the motion would need to strike, my recommendation is to strike all of, you're going to need to take a motion, so take a motion on the floor for an approval, an amendment to strike all of section 2, and then off of the floor a proposal to add as section 2 the stipulations that were actually entered into at the Planning and Zoning Commission, which we will then need to read into the record, and then post-meeting we will actually then make the written amendments to that.
Okay, and what she read is not sufficient, or need to be read again?
Your first action would need to be to have the ordinance, move to approve the ordinance, and then have an amendment to amend the ordinance to strike section 2, and then have another amendment to add a new section 2 that reads in, and we will then need to have them read into the record so that we're clear on what those are, and then we'll do a written, then the record will reflect what the ordinance should be, and then we'll draft the ordinance.
So we need an amendment.
I am so confused.
So let's start off with-
It's not,
Just start one at
Let's do it this way. Can I get amendment?
No.
No, no.
I'm sorry, can I get a motion to approve?
Yes.
Okay, Councilmember Clark.
And now, do we do the resolution first or the ordinance first?
Now, I'd like to make an amendment
to the ordinance.
to the ordinance.
I need to know whether we do the
It's the
resolution
ordinance.
first or the ordinance first.
Mayor and council, Member Clark, resolution first, please.
All right, does the resolution get amended, Mr. City Attorney?
Mayor and council, it appears as though that there are not the errors in the resolution as
All
they are. So an ordinance regarding the resolution,
So I will make a motion to approve.
Well, hold on, time out. I gotta close the public hearing first.
Excuse me.
Okay, public hearing is now closed. Now can I get a motion on item 20, resolution R21-113?
Yes, Mayor. I move we pass and adopt resolution number R21-113.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Clark, a second from Councilmember Melner to approve the recommended action. Is there any discussion on the motion? Mr. Bailey.
Mayor and council, the resolution is in a state that it appears to be appropriate, so you could approve the resolution and vote on the resolution, and then when we go to the ordinance, we'll need to take the steps regarding the amendments.
Let's go ahead and vote this right now.
That would be great.
Roll call vote. Councilmember Eldama, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Clark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Melner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Tomachoff, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Turner, how do you vote?
Explain my vote.
Go ahead.
As I understand it, the resolution is simply to the general plan amendment, and that it appears to be in a proper form, and therefore I vote aye.
Vice Mayor, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Mr. Bailey.
Mayor, if you would take a motion to approve the ordinance with an amendment to strike section 2.
Can I get a motion as stated?
Yes.
Councilmember
Mayor.
Clark.
I move we pass and adopt ordinance number 021-76 with an amendment to strike all of section 2.
Second.
You could read those if you have to.
Mayor, at this time, if you would also take another amendment to replace section 2 with the record that will be read by Ms. Perry.
All right.
Okay, so can I get a subsequent, I can't say that word, motion?
Yes, Mayor.
A parallel motion, how's that?
Yes, Mayor.
Go ahead.
In addition, I ask that we accept a second amendment to the stated agreement with stipulations approved by the Planning Commission and to be read into the record by Ms. Perry.
Okay.
Anybody want a second?
Second.
Okay.
Everybody.
I have a motion from Councilmember Clark, a second from Councilmember Turner to approve the recommended action with 2 amendments. Discussion on the motion.
Mayor, before you have discussion, if Ms. Perry could actually read in the stipulations, that would be great.
Either way, go ahead.
Mayor, Council, I'll read the stipulations again into the record. Planning Commission approved on November the 4th 6 stipulations. Stipulation 1, development shall be in substantial conformance with the applicant's project narrative dated October the 20th, 2021. Stipulation number 2, the required right-of-way on Northern Avenue will comply with the right-of-way defined in the Northern Avenue Parkway projects. Stipulation number 3, the developer will provide 55 feet of right-of-way, 65 feet of right-of-way within 250 feet of the intersection along 99th Avenue. If additional right-of-way is needed to accommodate sidewalks or other roadway features, the developer shall incorporate this into the final design of the off-site plans and the final plat for the project. Stipulation number 4, the developer will continue to work with staff at the Transportation Department or with the Transportation Department to define the design requirements of the road that connects the frontage road with 99th Avenue. The roadway shall be designed in such a way that it functions more like a street than a shopping center driveway aisle. Stipulation number 5, the developer shall provide a 5-foot ADA compliant sidewalk of the north side of the roadway that connects the frontage road with 99th Avenue. And stipulation number 6, the developer will add a 3rd northbound lane starting a minimum of 150 feet south of the development and terminating at the Northern Avenue section. That completes the stipulations, Mayor and Council.
Okay, you've heard the read, and we're ready for a roll call vote. Councilmember Aldama, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Clark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Milner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Tomachoff, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Turner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice Mayor, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Wasn't that fun, guys?
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Council comments and suggestions. Councilmember Aldama.
No comments, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Clark.
No comments, Mayor.
Councilmember Milner.
Yes, Mayor. Councilmember Tomachoff and I had a conversation regarding our positions on various boards that we serve on. And I think I even had this conversation with Councilmember Turner at one time, and thought that it may be appropriate for us to, on occasion, report to this council some of the things that are happening on the boards that we might serve on. For example, I serve on the Economic Development Committee of MAG, as well as Westmark Executive Committee. What I'd like to do tonight is report very briefly on just a couple of things that are happening with Westmark in the last meeting that we had, our Executive Committee this past week. Westmark is participating on the Maricopa Momentum 2050 Executive Committee and actively engaging with business leaders to fundraise for the Prop 401 extension. I think this is something I think we're all concerned about, and Westmark is actively engaged with that. Also, right here in Glendale, we have Glendale Community College, and the Glendale Community College digital art students filmed the awards program that was just held, and this is the second year they've done that. The change next year, when they do it, is they'll actually get college credit for doing that. Also, we approved Dr. Terry Ruiz, president of GCC, as a member of the Executive Board of Westmark. One other thing is this coming series on November 17th, 12 to 1, multifamily housing is going to be addressed. It's a real problem with shortages, and they're trying to create some awareness and the needs of workforce and availability within the Maricopa County. So that's just a short report on what's happening at Westmark.
Thank you. Councilmember Tomachoff?
Yes, Mayor, I have a couple of things. I want to thank our CAT team and PD volunteers, and Councilmember Melner and I co-hosted a shred event, a very, very busy shred event on Saturday morning, October 30th. It's probably the busiest one we've ever had. We had a lot of people, and I want to thank the residents, and some of them I'm sure non-residents, for their patience. The line was long, and the trucks filled up. So, but I want to thank everybody who helped us put the successful event on, and thank for the patience for waiting in line to get your shredded. And Cholla residents, please save the date, RSVP, December 2nd. We're having a district meeting, water resources update, put on by Craig Johnson, our water services team. I get a lot of questions about how Glendale's planning and planning for our future for our water supply. And there will be a boxed lunch, dinner type meal provided. It's at 5:30, December 2nd at FRAC. Thank you, Mayor.
Not Christmas, huh?
Not this year.
Okay. Councilmember Turner?
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Vice Mayor?
Nothing, Mayor.
I have something. I'm really surprised that Councilmember Tomachoff didn't do this, but I think she was being nice so I could. We had a groundbreaking this morning. Phoenix Children's Hospital is building a brand new location. It's a big building, and it's very, very exciting. It's something that I really think, again, one more time is putting I can't even say putting the city of Glendale on the map. We are on the map. But it's really showing the importance of the growth in Glendale and how people are looking at us. So it's a very, very exciting time. It's right exactly across the street from a hospital that's been there 20, I don't know, almost 30 years, right?
Yeah, well, might be 20, 25 years.
Yeah.
Arrowhead Abrazo.
Arrowhead Abrazo. So, and they're actually owned that land, and they're letting Phoenix Children's Hospital basically use that land. So I thought that was pretty cool. They partnered, and we're going to be able to serve the citizens better. With that, I do want to remind everybody, Veterans Day is a little more than 1 day away from now, and we are having an event at the Brown Library at 8 a.m. I would encourage everyone to please come out and show your support for our veterans. And I want people to understand this isn't a sad event. This isn't taps being played. It's not Memorial Day. It's simply addressing and honoring the people that have served this country. Nothing more than that. But that, again, by saying nothing more than that, this is a huge event because we do want to honor the people that have served this country. So 8 a.m., 11/11 at the Brown Library. With that, we're going to move on to citizens' comments. Next on the agenda is just that. Council makes the opportunity available to citizens to bring information and business before the council that is not on our printed agenda. And before we welcome speakers to the podium, I want to remind this audience, anyone speaking tonight, that this is a public meeting. And as the chair will not tolerate any profanity, aggression, or threats to this council. If you violate these rules, you won't be warned. We're just simply going to escort you out of the building. With that, we have two speakers tonight. We have Mr. Deibler. James, be ready to speak, but before you, Mr. Robert Neubauer. You both have 3 minutes to speak. James, hold on just a minute. We got somebody right in front of you. And to remind both of you, if you'll state your name, the city you live in, if it's Glendale, if you know your district, say, but we don't want your street address. Go ahead.
And again, Mayor, it's pronounced Neubauer.
Sorry.
We have a situation right down the street here along 58th Avenue by the Landmark School. Cars are speeding through there. I don't know if there's any way that you guys can set up speed bumps, something, but the kids at the school, it's a safety issue. Not only that, but the transient homeless issue in that neighborhood
is getting a little bit out of hand. Just this afternoon, somebody's walking by the school screaming at the top of his lungs. I don't know if he was screaming at somebody or screaming at, maybe arguing with himself. But these things need to be corrected, whatever you guys need to do. Councilman Aldama, it's your district. Oh, I'm sorry, I live in the Ocotillo district. You know, not just at the school, but all the way down to 59th Avenue, there's a church right across the street from a family who has 3 little kids. People are camping out in the parking lot of that church right across the street from these guys. And that's a lot of, it's a problem. There's something that's got to be done. I'm bringing it to your attention so you can bring some action to the neighborhood there. Councilman Aldama, I appreciate what you've done in the Catlin Court District with the Christmas lights and everything. Now if you could also speak with Mr. Phelps about the rezoning issue that he seems bent on doing that doesn't need to be done. Mayor, I know the profanity little warning was meant at me for the public comment I gave back in June. Let's not forget how that all got started. That got started with you driving recklessly through a parking garage, putting other people in danger. And I was just doing my job to stop you. And when I did stop you, you decided to play tough guy and tell me some things, profane-ridden, and you didn't like the way I responded. Now, you apparently have the council conned as to what actually happened that night. Your wife even went on to social media, called me a liar. So I think there's one way to resolve it. Why don't we both submit to a polygraph just about what happened that night and then make the results public? Now you, as far as the threat, I never threatened anybody here. I gave you an opportunity to carry out your threat against me. That's all I did. If I had actually threatened somebody here, don't you think one of these officers or all of them would have had me on the floor in handcuffs before I could step away from the podium? So we all know who that stuff is aimed at.
Yeah, your time's up, sir.
Yeah, it's aimed at me. Let's get a polygraph.
Your time's up, sir. Thank you.
Let's get a polygraph done, Jerry.
Mayor?
Who's telling
Your time's up, sir.
City Manager, if there's an appropriate staff that can meet with Mr. Neubauer on his issues in my district, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Deibler.
Hi, my name is James Deibler. I live in Phoenix, Arizona, in Phoenix Council District 5. I have good news. I received an internship from Glendale Elementary School District to help with students that have special needs in the classroom. I am excited for an opportunity to work with the school district. Finally, there is a broken sidewalk at 43rd Avenue and Peoria Avenue on the northwest corner. This sidewalk became a safety hazard for our pedestrians who walk across the busy intersection. The city of Glendale needs to fix the problem before someone else will get hurt. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, James. Okay. There being no further business before the council tonight, I'd like to thank everyone for attending tonight's meeting. If there's no objection from this council, this meeting is adjourned.